Clint Eastwood's journey to a $375 million fortune shows you don't need to start rich to become wealthy. From starring in gritty westerns to becoming a successful director and even dabbling in politics, Clint's story is full of twists, just like the action-packed movies he starred in. Not only did he excel as a Hollywood icon, but he also made smart money moves that helped him build a financial empire. Let's dive into the highlights of his path to fame and fortune. Born in San Francisco in 1930, Clint came from humble beginnings. His family wasn't wealthy, and he certainly didn't have connections in Hollywood. But that didn't stop him from chasing big dreams. He took his first steps in the acting world in the 1950s, but his career really took off when he starred in Dirty Harry in 1971. As Harry Callahan, the no-nonsense detective, Clint became a household name, and this was just the beginning. The role brought Clint fame and financial success, putting him on the Hollywood map and allowing him to take charge of his future in ways most actors only dream of. It all began back in 1958 when Clint first landed his role as Rowdy Yates in the TV series Rawhide. In those early days, he earned $750 per episode, which might sound like a lot, but it was pretty modest for an actor even back then. But as the show's popularity grew, so did his paycheck. By the time Rawhide ended, Clint received a big payout of $119,000 per episode as part of his severance package. In 1964, Clint took a chance on an Italian film called A Fistful of Dollars. He was paid only $15,000, but this role became his big break into international stardom. Following this film, his salary rose to $50,000 for a few dollars more. And by the time he starred in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in 1966, he was raking in $250,000, a huge jump from his earlier days on Rawhide. That year, he also took on a smaller role in L'Estrade, translated as The Witches, for an extra $20,000, but it was clear his main income was coming from the wild success of his westerns. Then came a pivotal moment in 1968 with Hang 'Em High. For this film, Clint negotiated a smart deal that brought him not only $400,000 up front, but also 25% of the net box office profits. And to top it off, Universal Studios offered him a $1 million contract. Just around that time, Clint earned another $750,000 for Where Eagles Dare. His earnings skyrocketed, putting him into the Hollywood big leagues where he'd stay for years to come. By the 1970s and 80s, Clint was one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood. His salary kept climbing as he continued starring in hits. In 1978, for example, he earned a massive $12 million for Every Which Way But Loose, and in 1984, he took home $5 million for City Heat. Clint then began to focus on directing and producing, which added to his wealth. In 1993, he made $7 million for starring in the Line of Fire. But his smart business deals, directing roles, and box office hits meant his real wealth was building faster than ever. Beyond movies, Clint always had a love for music. Even when he was young, he'd play boogie-woogie piano. And in 1963, he released a little-known album called Cowboy Favorites. While it didn't turn him into a music star, Clint continued to play and even performed live at rodeos and fairs, making up to $15,000 per show. His love for music rubbed off on his son Clint Eastwood, who grew up to become a jazz musician. Clint's influence clearly reached beyond Hollywood, even if his true fame came from his legendary films. Clint's business savvy wasn't just in acting and directing. In 2021, he found himself in a legal showdown that ended with a big payday, $6.1 million. A company in Lithuania had used his image and likeness without permission, claiming Clint endorsed their CBD products. They created fake interviews and even an article styled to look like it came from the Today Show, where Clint supposedly praised CBD oil. But Clint wasn't having any of it. He took them to court, filing lawsuits against multiple companies, and won. The court not only ordered the company to pay him $6 million, but also issued a permanent order to stop any future misuse of his name. A big part of Clint Eastwood's wealth comes from the stock market. Over the years, Clint has invested around 20% of his money, roughly $75 million, in stocks. He's put his money in some of the world's top companies, showing he's as savvy in finance as he is on the movie set. His stock portfolio includes giants like Apple, with about $15 million in shares, ExxonMobil with $8 million, and even Walmart, where he's invested $4 million. Apple's growth and Exxon's stable returns show he's comfortable betting on big names that promise consistent returns. He's also invested in MasterCard, McDonald's, Tesla, and Alphabet, Google's parent company, covering a broad range of sectors from tech to fast food and finance. His strategy of spreading out his investments helps reduce risks while keeping his wealth growing. One particularly smart investment Clint made was in Pebble Beach Company, which owns the famous Pebble Beach golf links and a few other premium golf courses, hotels, and restaurants. Alongside business moguls like golf legend Arnold Palmer, Clint bought a stake in the company in 1999, paying around $2 million per share. The total group investment was a massive $820 million, but the returns have been incredible. By 2020, each share was estimated to be worth $8, $9 million, meaning his investment has quadrupled in value. Beyond stocks, Clint's wealth is heavily tied to his own production company, Malpaso Productions. Back in 1967, after the success of his Dollars trilogy, Clint used part of his earnings to create the company. Named after Malpaso Creek on his property in Monterey County, California, the name itself has a personal touch, showing his deep connection to the land he owns. Malpaso Productions was a major stepping stone in Clint's career. It allowed him to have control over the movies he worked on, not only as an actor but as a director and producer too. This meant he could pick the projects he believed in and make money from the entire filmmaking process, not just acting fees. Over the years, Malpaso has produced most of Clint's movies, including hits like Unforgiven, $1 Million Baby, Gran Torino, and American Sniper. The company gave Clint the freedom to experiment with genres, from westerns and war dramas to thrillers and biopics. He's directed over 30 films, winning 2 Oscars for Unforgiven and $1 Million Baby. Because he's worked on so many successful projects through Malpaso, the company remains a steady source of income, and its value continues to grow with each new hit he releases. Clint's real estate holdings are impressive. He owns multiple properties, each with unique features and significant value. His real estate investments span from California and Idaho to Hawaii, showcasing his taste for homes with scenic beauty and comfortable luxury.